gotta be dry shaving me. A review of a thermal scope on OGSDANGERSHOW? Well, you're correct. I'm not the guy to review thermal or night vision. The only thermals I own are long johns. And, by the way, I probably should throw these things in the wash before winter. You might have noticed by now that the words thermal and night vision have been edited out of this narrative. And you want to know why? Well, YouTube seems to think those two items are Satan's playthings, and they will demonetize a video that contains such inflammatory and dangerous verbiage. I know the streets of my town are littered with the bodies of fair citizens that were killed by the horror of thermal optics. And yes, I've just slapped my own head. Well, a company called DNT sent me a thermal scope to review on my channel. Little did they know, I know nothing about thermal, and I'd be approaching this from the position of a newbie. And maybe that's a good thing. If you're new to the thermal and night vision optics world like I am, you and I can stumble through this together. And we might just learn a thing or two. I know I did. You know how when you know nothing about something, you really don't want to begin the task? Well, I reluctantly opened the package DNT sent me, and I found this beautiful, hard-sided box with a foam-lined interior that contained the device. It also came with a color instruction manual, a rubber eyepiece, 2 USB-C cords, one for charging and one for data transfer. I was surprised how compact the damn thing was. It was hardly bigger than a soda can and weighed only 22.8 ounces. It's about 3 inches by 3 inches by 7 inches, and it came with a nicely made scope mount for Picatinny rails and even a charger for 2 of the batteries, which are also included. Each battery gives you about 5 hours of runtime, and I was out in the field long enough to find out just how long they last. Mine went dead twice, but both of them after about 5 hours each. Here's a cool feature. We have this option where we can take any old battery pack, plug it in, and run it right into the charging port or USB-C port of the ThermNight. Now we have an external power source. It's not going to charge your ThermNight, but it will allow us to keep on working out here when we are poorly prepared with our battery situation. If you guys like this video, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you didn't like it, keep your mouth shut. Who asked you? If you haven't already subscribed to OGSDANGERSHOW, what in the hell are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button down below. And most important thing you could do out there, hit that little squiggly arrow down there and share this video with a buddy of yours. Send it out to anybody. It doubles the amount of people that see our video and gets us a little bit wider spread across YouTube, and that's kind of what we're after. Now, the ThermNight is built pretty tough for the price. It's not some lightweight toy. It's IP67 waterproof rated and certified to handle the recoil of a 50 BMG. All I know is I dropped mine a couple of times and the damn thing didn't even shift 0. So that's pretty tough. Once I blew the dirt off of it, I was right back in the game. There are a lot of tubes and lenses on this thing, and it looks complicated. Well, I'm here to tell you that after a day of playing with it, I figured out the button system, and I didn't even need to look at the manual anymore. I was even using this thing in complete darkness the other night, and I had no trouble finding the buttons because I had become so familiar with them during my short testing in the daylight. Now, I'm not going to walk you through the entire list of features and all of the items on the menu list. That's kind of for people who already own this thing. It would be an hour-and-a-half long video that would bore you to tears. But trust me, this thing is easy to use after just a little bit of practice. Like me, it looks complicated and high-tech, but it is dirt simple. I think we got it. Now, with all the tubes and lenses on this thing, it looks a little confusing, but on the lower left is the infrared emitter and its control button. It has an 850 nanometers infrared light that has an adjustable beam from flood to spotlight. And that's not enough nanometers, you say? Well, you can unscrew the thing and swap it out for ThermNight's optional 940 nanometer light. ThermNight even makes a cap that deletes the IR entirely if you're that worried about being seen in the dark. And I know most of you guys, and you look best in the dark. Moving up, we have the laser rangefinder. Then this thing uses an IR beam to measure range at night. So again, you're not projecting a red beam downrange. I found it to be pretty accurate. And of course, in the settings menu, it can be configured for yards or meters if you live in one of those foreign lands that measure things by cabbages and the weight of a couple of rocks. The small lens on top is the digital daylight scope. It has an easy focus adjust ring on the front and all of the controls on the back. The little wheel just below it is the zoom wheel that gets you in there real deep. Now, if you're expecting loopholed lens clarity, you're going to be disappointed. This scope can be used in the daylight mode for regular hunting, but the picture clarity isn't going to be the same as regular scopes. There's definitely a digital effect to everything, but it will work. And that's one of the drawbacks of this scope. If it runs dead out in the field, or if you have it powered off, you're not going to be able to see through the scope. It needs to be powered on and running for you to be able to use it as a daylight optic. The largest tube that makes up most of the body of the optic is the thermal lens. It has a rubberized focus ring out front and an adjustable objective focus ring right back here next to your eye. It uses a Sony Starvis 2 sensor, so you're getting good image quality from the damn thing. The ThermNight comes with a rubber eyepiece, but I found it easier to get a good sight picture without it. It has a short eye relief, and you really have to be right up on it. And when you're making your adjustments, I found it was a lot easier just to tilt the rifle up over my shoulder and really get your eye up in there. The ThermNight has a simple toggle button that switches between digital or day mode, night mode, and thermal mode.
We are going to toggle it over to night vision. We are now in night vision mode where we have...
Now here's the cool part. The ThermNight records video and audio directly to an internal hard drive. You can turn off the audio if you don't want to hear yourself, but it's nice to be able to record your own voice, your own notes, and the ambient sounds around you while you shoot. But because this thing records directly to an internal hard drive, you don't need any of those micro SD cards anymore. They include a data transfer cable, so getting video off of your ThermNight is as easy as plugging it into your computer. But I downloaded the DNT app, and using it, I was able to see all the video that I recorded right there on my phone. And I found it easier just to download the video clips over Wi-Fi. The app also has a very extensive ballistic calculator that you can use to program your ThermNight for certain loads, but this isn't something I'm likely to do. I'm not into spending a lot of time programming technology. I'm a man who craves leisure. The first thing I did when I got my ThermNight out in the woods was to go to their one-shot zeroing feature. It's a great tool to help you get on target fast, but it's not exactly one shot. Best case scenario, you're going to use 2 rounds to be on target, but for me it took quite a few rounds at first. I just could not get a consistent shot group. I was all over the board. Every once in a while I would be close, and then my rounds would fly all over after I tried to adjust the reticle. Now, I might not be the best shot on the planet, but I think I've proven my abilities here and on Tau Fledermaus. But for some reason, I could not get this thing sighted in for reliable hits. I called DNT about some data transfer questions I had, and while I was on the phone with Nick, who is the Q of the ThermNight group, he explained the freeze frame feature. Well, holy crap, OG, had you just read the goddamn instructions, you would have saved a lot of ammo getting sighted in. So in the zeroing mode of the menu, you have the ability to move windage and elevation using these X and Y controls. You fire a shot at your target, then, keeping the reticle on your precise point of aim, you short press the power button and the ThermNight takes a still picture of your target. Now, you can move the rifle all you want and it won't matter. You just use those X and Y controls and you click your reticle to the bullet impact. It's that simple. You'll need to sight in the digital or the daylight mode as well as separately sight in the thermal mode. So here's a cool hack that Q gave me about sighting in with the thermal mode. You obviously need something small and hot to shoot at. But since aiming at midget strippers is considered bad form, he recommended snapping 2 9-volt batteries together. They get pretty hot, up to about 135 degrees. Now, they're not hot enough to light the nearby woods on fire, but they are hotter than a hand warmer. I taped the batteries to the cardboard target, and no, it's not hot enough to set the cardboard on fire either. And through my thermal lens, using the snapshot method that Q enlightened me on, I was able to hit the hot batteries within just a few shots. Now that was fun.
Wow, I'm actually seeing some marks in there. I think it's the actual heat marks through the cardboard, so I can tell where my impacts are. That's pretty cool. Not much excites me these days, but this excites me. A nice little tight group there that I moved up to a nice little tight group there. That is crazy, crazy tight group for this rifle, for this optic. Not yet dialed in. We got to walk it over a little bit right and a little bit up. But man, we're getting dang close. This was way easier than when I was doing the digital scope. We're going to walk our x-axis slightly to the left. And then we're going to bump over to our y-axis and we're going to move it slightly down. Maybe a little bit more on the X to the left. All right, we're going to long press the right button to save and exit. Let's exit the menu. Whoa, I think we got it. Okay, using our red hot or iron hot, I'm not even sure which one, we were able to strike that with very, very minimal settings. We dialed our reticle twice, only twice, and look at this. First time, remember down here, we jammed our reticle up to the batteries, and the second time we smacked these batteries, and look at this. We have smacked these batteries over and over again. 1, 2, this one hasn't been hit. They're cooled now. We definitely hit the ones on the left. Wow, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Blasted battery shards right out the back. All right, oh, blasted the entire battery right out the back. The ThermNight offers a picture-in-picture feature whereby you can view a daylight image and have a window dedicated to thermal. Now you can toggle these back and forth to have the thermal in the primary window and the daylight in the small window. In the daylight mode, you can also use the picture-in-picture window for more zooming while keeping larger field of view with the main window. Now the picture-in-picture window is only about 10% of the screen when it's activated, but I found it to be a little too confusing and it cluttered up my view downrange. Although you can move it from the left side to the center to the right side of the screen, I just clicked it off, and my simpleton's brain was much happier. The ThermNight in thermal mode has several options for your viewing pleasure. You've got black hot, or what they call iron hot, which I liked, red hot, and white hot. I used the white hot to glass the neighbor's empty house one night, and I was able to see the heat around their windows and doors. You'll notice the lazy lump of white hot laying under the pine tree near my studio. That's not a puddle of lava. That's Annie the Bernese Mountain Dog guarding the tree against foreign invaders. Here's video of me walking through the trees near my studio, showing you just how clear a human image would be. Now you're not going to get military grade images with this ThermNight, but at this price you can't go wrong. And let's be honest, if you can see bad guys, you can engage bad guys. You don't need to read the business card in their back pocket in pitch black darkness. And that's something I want to point out. The ThermNight is considerably less money than any other thermal device on the market. I went shopping online because I knew nothing about these things, and I found ATN optics for as low as $1,700, Thor optics, $3,700, Infraray Ricoh for $4,000, the Armacite Prometheus for $2,500, and Pulsar optics for either $2,000 or $3,000. Now the ThermNight is coming in around $1,100 at the time of this video, and that's quite a bit more affordable than those other companies. And yes, I know, you're going to tell me that the other optics are clearer, they're shinier, they're more lasery. But for us regular Joes who've been wanting to get into thermal optics on a casual level, this is the way to go. You're not too heavily invested. Personally, I think this scope is worth the price. In these days of everything getting banned and restricted, maybe it's a good time to get yourself a thermal scope before our enlightened politicians decide, like YouTube, that they are causing the death of millions and that they should be banned. If you're interested in something like this ThermNight, well, I can't really put a link in the description, can I? But if you go down in the comment section, some people might be chatting about where to get it, and you might be able to find something there. All right, you guys stay armed out there day or night, and until next video, OG out.